Beautiful. Hay cut. And so long as you don't rain, we'll be sweet as, bro. That's money in the bank. Yeah, so long as it doesn't rain. How you going, brothers and the occasional sister? We're going to get this turned hopefully tomorrow or the next day. Normally 2 days, 3 days, and you turn it. Hope this one finds you well. I've got a bit of a system going today. It's a bit different to my usual filming. I've got this DJI mic and I'm in Pro, which is making it very white, and I can't quite get the picture right, but we'll see how we get on. I'm not using the gimbal. Got Johnny right out there right now, and you can see I've got the old collar. So we're just going to give him a wee beep, a tone, and bring him back in. You can see him out there in the paddock with Poe. We'll hit this in tone, see if he comes back. There we go, straight away. There he comes. How quick is that? Technology. One beep, and here he comes running full tit. And he's also bringing Poe back because she heard the beep, and she thought she had a collar on too. Just a signal, just a beep. Good boy, John. Good dog. Good boy. Good dog, Johnny. Good boy. Good dog. Come on. Technology, and that's what I want to talk about today. Back in 1969, in Abel Tasman National Park, I can remember my father, John, I can remember him clearly carrying 2 bags of cement, 2 80-pound bags. That's 160 pound. That's a lot of weight. Think about that. Okay, a lot of you guys at hunt will go, yeah, I've carried 160 pound pig, but when you're carrying it like where he was, over the hill, it's bloody hard yakka. It's probably as hard as carrying a 160 pound pig. But that was just one thing Dad did in a day I can remember. And he went from Tōtaranui to Anapai Hut, where he built a fireplace. So he carried all the timber over first for boxing, then come back home, and I was a little boy walking behind him, 5 years of age. It was a 45-minute walk generally if you didn't carry something, and it probably took Dad an hour to carry that weight. He didn't stop. I remember trying to keep up and him telling me, keep up, son, I'm not stopping. He dug in and he carried that weight. Nobody watching him except his 5-year-old son. Nobody to tell the story except me, 55 years later. No social media, no phone if he fell and broke a leg to call for help. No personal locator beacon. Just himself and his 5-year-old son following him that day as he did that job. All of these years later, that job would be so much safer and so much easier because of technology. But it's the same technology that buggers people up. And it's the same technology that gives you more chance a day to do exceptional things much easier, but it's also that same technology that's stopping you, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So I've got friends today that have written books that aren't writers, and books that sell, and books that are good, and they're selling them using social media. I've got friends that do paintings that aren't artists, that sell them. I've got a friend and she's doing like paintings of dogs and horses and people, and she's not an artist, but she taught herself using her phone, watching YouTube tutorials, and she used the same phone to sell it online. I've got friends that do sculptures that are selling online. Got a sculpture up at my house that West Coast Feral gave me. I don't know if he's selling them, but he's certainly showing the public his work. So you can be creative and you can find an outlet where you never before it was that easy. There's so much that you could do. I mean, look at me. Here I am, this guy walking around a paddock holding his phone. I'm making a video about my dogs. I make videos about my dogs, hunting my dogs, something I'm passionate about, and I share it with people that are passionate about it too. But also make videos about other stuff, all with my phone. And you could do the same with something else that you're interested in. Or it might not be videos, you might be doing something completely different. You might be, say, have an interest in, I don't know, let's say go-kart racing. You love go-kart racing. You don't really want to make videos, but you want to connect up with people that race go-karts. So you join up on a forum and you start writing articles about go-karts with photos about them, how to change the tyres, what's the best fuel to use, what sort of conditions you ride when it's raining or when it's hot, how that affects the racing, what is the best way to change your tyres or your wheels or anything. And suddenly you connect up with people all around the world that are interested in go-karts, whereas before in your town there might have been one go-kart club. Suddenly you've got a whole mega amount of people interested in what you're doing, and you're giving them value, and then you create, say, a Patreon, and they join up with a Patreon to find out more, and they pay you a little bit each month, and you give them in return valuable information because you become an authority on go-karts and so forth. There's your business. There's so much today that you could do in anything you want to. But what is it that stops people from doing it? What is it that gets in the way? Well, the trouble is today, and I don't speak for everybody because not everybody's like this. I've got friends that don't like it, but a lot of people spend a lot of their time on their phone looking at other people's lives, scrolling, looking at things like TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat. There's just all these things with 1 minute intervals of amazing stuff or 10 seconds of amazing stuff. So the brain gets flooded with dopamine and people become bored with the status quo. They can become bored with their own lives even because they're looking at their phone all the time. They've got this thing in front of them they're looking at, and it's giving them this high that they can't possibly achieve themselves, which is an impossible thing to actually have in life. In normality, you wouldn't have that. Normally in life, you wouldn't have that at all. You wouldn't have like seeing a guy like skiing off a cliff and then another guy like jumping out of a plane Red Bull with a parachute and opening it up, or some guy in a paddock walking around with his dogs on the hay that hasn't been made into bales yet. You wouldn't see all these different things and have that choice. And some people that have been watching this video now have already switched off because it wasn't giving them enough dopamine. Some people are no longer watching this because they've become bored, because there's something else out there that's more interesting than what I'm talking about right now, and they're looking for it. And they deny themselves the opportunity to ever get onto a storyline and follow a story through to its conclusion, because they become so bored they just don't have the patience to sit and listen because it cuts them off. I can remember my watch time when I started making videos, when I started my Clay Tool Stories account. I can remember that it used to be between 80 and 90%. Now my videos today are 30 to 40%. They've dropped by half. And that's because of what that machine's done. So the same thing that gives us the opportunity to create a whole lot of stuff is now also destroying people's ability to concentrate. It's destroying people's ability to have discipline and to motivate and to move forward. I mean, if you think about it, the technology we have today is frigging incredible. You've got in your smartphone more intel than what NASA, Air Force, Army, Navy all probably had just 30 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. You've got more information at your fingertips today. You get sick. I'm a classic example of that. You get sick. You can look at all the meta-analysis of all the clinical trials and studies that have been done that have proven what can heal that sickness. You get cancer, or you get heart disease, you can become your own doctor if you're prepared to do the due diligence and follow up with the science, and you can heal yourself. How amazing is that? We couldn't do that once upon a time. You can listen to a cardiologist in America explaining the mechanism to how you can actually reverse heart disease if you've got heart disease. How incredible is that? But also that same thing that gives you this ability that's so bloody amazing also can make it so you become hooked on dopamine. So you're just looking at it all the time and following other people and not actually creating your own buzz. I find that the smartphone is an amazing tool for my job, but I also find for some people it destroys them. I've seen it. You can go into your smartphone and say, okay, I want to find out how to bake a black pudding. Is it black pudding? Do you bake a black pudding? No. Black pudding's actually a sausage full of blood. I want to bake a steam pudding. Oh, the ducks come after me for some feed. Come on. I'm not calling ducks, I'm calling Johnny. You could look on how to make a steam pudding, and you might not know anything about baking, but you can actually make a steam pudding. Get in, Johnny. I find that mind-blowing. So, what's the answer? Well, the answer is to use it in the right way. Use it as a tool, but don't let it use you, because that's what happens. People get so caught up with it, it starts using them. They look at it and they've already used up an hour of their time just looking at stuff that has got no benefit to them, just to spike their dopamine. They get addicted to it. I know, because I've got friends that are like that, and I say, what are you doing, man? Oh, just looking at that, just looking at that. I use it as a tool. I check things like the weather in the morning, because that determines how my day's going to be, and I'll look on videos on maybe something that's on how to do. Like today I looked at a video on how to set this up. But I don't become its little bitch where it's using me all the time. It's a game, the whole thing, and play the game the right way. Don't let the game play you. And it is a game. The whole industry is a game. We're either consumers or we're creators. You're either creating something or you're consuming it. Don't become just a consumer all the time. Obviously, we're going to consume some things. We have to consume good nutritional food. We've got to take on information and look that up. But don't spend all your time just consuming. It's like eating too much. You're just eating. You're going to get fat. And there's a bit of a... come on, Poe. There's a bit of a parallel there. Because a lot of people that actually are addicted to dopamine are also addicted to other things. Now, I have been there. I've been addicted to dopamine. I've had all of the addictions you could possibly imagine, and only through just really having to be hard on myself, I've managed to turn that around and use it in my favour by enforcing discipline on myself. Same way as I train these dogs. Look at these guys here. Discipline, training, consistent, being persistent, carrying on. It all applies exactly the same way to us achieving the things we want to get. Anyway, that's my spin on it, and you might see it differently, but I think it's a great tool, the phone. I think it can make life amazing, or it can make life hell, all depending on how you decide you're going to use it. I think there's a lot of untapped stuff that we all have in our hands with our phone that we could use, like fitness programs for building strength and building muscle, fitness routines that we could just like slip into so it become part of our daily thing, food, a wee way we can set up our food better, things like our sleep patterns. There's great apps for sleep, all the things that help us just to have healthier, happier lives, all are on our phones if we use them the right way, or we can use them the wrong way, and as I said before, become a bitch to it. Right, that's the first lap. I'm going to do a bit of a run now with these guys because they haven't walked fast enough. They've just toddled along while I'm yakking. Go steady, brothers and the occasional sister. These are only my thoughts and not necessarily correct, as I've always said before, but what I've found to be. You might have a different spin on it, and if you have, stick it below and share it with us, because this is a channel for sharing shit and bettering ourselves, being a better man than we were the day before, being a better man today. And the smartphone is just a brilliant tool to help you become a better man used in the right way. Go steady. See you later. Good boy. Come on. Where's Pace from? Where's Pace? Oh, it's down there below me. Wiggle, Johnny. Wiggle. Oh, Pace stays in. Nut stays in too. Can't wait to get that hay up. Good dogs. Right, we'll start running. See you guys. Put this away.